Welcome to Lawrence High.
This is Upper School Academy.
And this is Mrs. Anon's history class.
So good morning, everyone. Everybody should have or should go on Google Classroom and find this activity, Civil Rights Class PowerPoint. We're going to do a class activity today, but also a small group activity. Just make sure that you open this and follow along. Marianis, would you mind just reading our content objective for today, or our CO?
Students will investigate primary, secondary sources on a topic to gain a deeper understanding of the person, group, event of the civil rights movement. They will infer how the lives of young people were affected and how they responded to challenges.
Thank you. So we are going to delve deeper into some of the events that we talked about in previous classes, like Ruby Bridges, Little Rock 9, but in more detail. And then, Yeremihan, would you try reading the language objective or the LO? Impact, yes. Thank you. Very good. Yes. So a lot of the people, groups that we're going to talk about are part of the youth. So they're people your age or younger or a little bit older, like college students. So the first thing we're going to do for our Do Now is our Jamboard Gallery walkthrough. So I'm going to wait. So please just click on the link. We have done this before. Right? You guys remember this? Okay. All right. So you are going to look at a series of pictures. The text is a little bit tiny, but I will read them to you. And we'll look at this picture for like a minute. And after you leave a sticky note, you can read about what others wrote down and put a star or an asterisk on something you agreed with, and put an exclamation part on something that really made you think, or that kind of made you go, huh, that's a good point, right? Okay, so what do these three colors mean, or the three stickies that you're going to put? Okay, so for blue, write something that surprised you using a blue sticky. For orange, write a feeling you have about the document. So this document makes me feel sad, angry. What does it make you feel? Okay. Write something you wonder about or a question about the document. So I wonder what was going on in her mind when this was happening to her. Right. Okay. So, Junior, how many stickies should each person have in a slide?
3.
What?
3.
At minimum?
At least one.
At least one. At least one. So you can have more, okay? But to get full credit, I want to see at least one sticky from each slide. Okay? So you don't have to put all 3 blues, one blue, 1 orange, 1 green in every slide. No. I just want so slide 2, maybe you felt something about the sticky note, the picture. So choose the orange sticky. The next picture, maybe you wonder something about it, so use the green sticky. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions? We're going to try the first one together just to get practice, and then I'm going to go a little bit faster with the other pictures. Okay. And these are all okay. This one, we're a little bit more familiar with this one, right? Okay. So the instructions are also here for you, and don't forget to read what other people have said. Okay. If you do not have a laptop for some reason, just write slide number 1 or picture 1, and you can write down what you want, and I'll try to type that in as fast as I can. Okay. So this is Elizabeth Eckerd, part of the Little Rock 9, attempts to go to school, but facing racial slurs and threats. Hazel Bryan is the young woman in the picture shouting at Elizabeth. In 1962, 5 years later, Bryan apologizes to Eckerd. Bryan says, "I don't know what triggered it, but one day I just started squalling about how she must have felt." Thank you, yes. Don't forget your initial. Okay. I get so bad that I felt so bad as to what I had done that I called her a blank, okay, a racial slur, and I apologized to her. I told her I was sorry that what I had done, that I was not thinking for myself. I think both of us were crying. Okay, so let me give you guys 2 minutes. I'm just gonna set a quick timer on my phone. And make sure you put your initials or your first name. Make sure you're responding. Are you all set, hon? Okay, so next slide, and then the Jamboard is right there. I'm seeing some good comments here. If you agree with something someone said, you can put an asterisk, and you can put an exclamation point. If whatever somebody said really made you think. So that was the timer. I'm going to give you guys around 2 minutes each slide, so just a heads up. And did you have a question?
No.
Okay. Everything's clear so far. It looks like everybody did the appropriate thing, so awesome job. Let me go over to the next one. And don't forget to read what others have written. Okay, so we're going to go 2 minutes. Actually, let me do 2 minutes, 30 seconds. This is the East LA walkout, the Chicano blowouts. In early March, thousands of Mexican-American high school students in East Los Angeles walked out of class, protesting their rundown campuses, high dropout rates, lack of college prep courses, and poorly trained and often discriminatory teaching staff. In what became known as the Chicano blowouts, demonstrations continued for nearly a week until the school board agreed to meet with students and hear their demands. The effort to help launch LA's Chicanos Power movement, inspiring a generation of new leaders. So these are high school students, right? So let me go ahead. 2 minutes. So what they did was they protested because you know how, remember in the civil rights movement that white schools were better and it was still segregated? So Hispanic schools were really old. You couldn't really even like learn properly in them, and the teachers were mostly white and discriminatory. So the students are asking for a better school. So they walk out and ask for a better school. Yes. So this is the Children's Crusade. This basically 1,000 middle school and black middle school and high school students marched with the civil rights leaders in Birmingham. Okay. So they walked out of their classes and marched with the rest of the black community in Birmingham. Public Safety Commissioner Bull Connor ordered police to spray participants with water hoses and to try to scare them off with police dogs. So just think or imagine high school and middle school students being part of that march. Make sure you're on the next slide. It's okay. If you have extra time, you can always come back. But right now, the focus is on the Children's Crusade slide. So I know we've spoken about this one. So I'm just going to call a few students, like 1 to 2 students, to just talk a little bit about their opinion on this. And then we're going to go over to do like the group activity. So did anybody want to say anything about this picture? Or any like strong feelings about this picture? Anything that stood out? Alex, I feel like you have something. Like, I'm feeling it. I don't know.
Go back to the slide. Oh, okay. Well, I said in my sticky note that I wonder how she got in contact with her after like this whole thing went down, because after something like this happens, it's very hard to find people.
Yes. And it's also very hard, I agree, and it's also very hard to just say you're sorry, too. Like, I feel like that's something we take for granted. Anybody else? Anybody want to react to what Alex said? Yep, Norielis, go ahead.
What I wrote.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
I wrote, I wonder if she feels guilty because the picture blew up and she's going to have a bad reputation.
That's a good point. I wonder about that too. Okay. Because we can't say, but that is a good wondering. Okay. All right. What about this one? Did anybody know about this movement until this one? No. Liriani, what did you write down?
I don't know. Can't find it.
It's okay.
Oh, I wonder if any of them got hurt because of this.
Like the students.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about it right now?
I don't know, it's like very disappointing because they're just, that's not right, like for them to like, throw stuff on them.
Throw stuff, throw food. Can you imagine somebody pouring like a milkshake on you or putting ketchup on you? You would be angry, but do these people look angry?
No, they look fine.
They look used to it.
Yeah, because they practice. Not necessarily that they were used to it.
It's just a pass for Friday.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
They're like, here we go again.
Yeah, they actually practice this. They practice being hurt. Like what if they did this? What if they did that? How will we react? Lena, what did you think about this Ruby Bridges one?
I said that I admire the courage she had at such a young age because I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think it's also good to acknowledge that if we were her, we might not be able to do it because it also highlights like that she was able to. And if we couldn't do it, she did it for us, right? So thank you so much for your participation. We have a list of topics here, and we have today and next class, but there's 7 different topics to dig deeper into. Like those pictures are just like a surface, just touching the surface, and these are a more in-depth dive of some of those topics. So you're going to be in a group or in a pair, so like small group of 3 or a partner, and working alone is not an option. So you gotta get yourself out there, okay? All right, so you have Little Rock 9, SNCC, the student power. There's 2 SNCCs, one just about the movement, and then this one specifically an event called Freedom Summer. The sit-ins, specifically focusing on Diane Nash, who was one of the students, college students that led the movement, Ruby Bridges, the AAPA movement, civil rights and Latinx movements, focusing on the Mendez versus Webb Minister case. I won't tell you what those are because your classmates will tell you next class when they do a short presentation. So the reason why you can edit this whole document is that we're making a class presentation together and you'll present it with your group on Friday. It's just like 5 minutes long, right? Find your part of the slides. Each group has 4 slides each, and I'm going to show you an example. Answer the questions or prompts on your slides. You will present your slides as a group next class. You, Lacey, are we allowed to work by ourselves? Yes, we are not, because you're shaking your head. Okay. The other thing, too, I noticed in your writings that some people, hold on, we're not using the correct or the politically correct terms. So these are the politically correct terms. We have to use people of color, Black Americans, white Americans, Hispanic Americans. Like these are the politically correct terms. Okay?
Estas 5 preguntas son buen response, pero lo que tenemos que hacer es leer esto y esto.
Alright, so switch up this.
No, tenemos que responder la pregunta.
This is the bonus point.
So the first thing you guys need to do is just read, and I think you guys have a video. Okay. So you might hear some bad words in the video just because just a heads up. But we don't use those words anymore. And there's like a disclaimer.
To the civil rights
School help, for Spanish, for students, like blacks and Spanish.
Oh,
For blacks and Spanish. For Latinos.
for Black Americans and Hispanic Americans.
For Black Americans and Hispanics.
Hispanic Americans.
To feel comfortable in the environment of education.
Their environment?
In the environment.
In their school environment.
In the school environment. Yeah. How do you say let's go to school? More motivated.
Yeah.
You crop it and then you can make shapes. So you see the little arrow?
Yeah.
Right there. You click it, and then it goes to shapes, and you can put whatever you want.
And this is in 2020, right?
What?
Yeah, this video was in 2020. So
She doesn't look 60.
Wow.
She looks at least 42.
Why so
At
consistent?
least 42.
Yeah, she actually does.
they say that people who have been inspirational to others or have done things really brave, they have a certain look that you're wow,
They don't crack.
they don't. That's why she looks good.